team like Kyrie and KD, or the Lake Show with King James and AD. Wish I could match him up with the bad boys from the 80s, but no black and white, I need that in HD. HenDawgz.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy HenDawgz, and we back to it. You know how we do it. Got some more toxicity for y'all, man. This is the toxic stuff from Secret Base. I love these videos. But this one was with Paul Pierce and LeBron. I didn't really know they had too much beef, but it said Paul Pierce and LeBron James' beef started with spitting and escalated to family drama. Yeah, if some spitting get involved, I feel like it should be some beef that comes after that, because nobody should be spitting on nobody. But before we get into this video, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. We are on the way to 10K. We're almost there, man. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that button, man, and go ahead and like this video. Most importantly, just like it, man. Just enjoy this video. You know, I'll be trying to tell y'all to like and subscribe and comment and all that, but you gotta enjoy my videos first in order to want to do all of that. So most importantly, let's enjoy it. So let's get into it. We got Paul Pierce and LeBron James beef starting with spitting and escalated to family drama. Let's get it.
At a point, not only was he arguably one of the best small forwards in the league, but his Celtics squad also dominated the Eastern Conference. But both of those things were a little short-lived because of LeBron James. Maybe that's why Paul Pierce can't keep LeBron's name out his mouth. There's no denying Paul Pierce's importance in the history of the NBA. As an NBA champion and Boston Celtics legend, his word certainly holds weight in his new role as an analyst. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, of course, but when that opinion discounts someone heavily involved in the GOAT debate and a player that you've seen firsthand several times, it's just egregious.
Kareem, Magic, Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Bird, these guys are all top 10 players who either help build up their organization or continue the tradition.
I feel like he go out his way to hate on LeBron. It's like, as a player that you play against, when that person is the best player in the time that you played, I feel like if you don't go out your way to talk highly of him, you pretty much hating, because all these players that you hear that played in the 2000s, 2010s, they up Kobe. Like, even players that didn't really, I feel like, was big Kobe guys, you know, probably was in beef with him back then. Like, even now, they talk good about Kobe because they respect what he did during their time in the league. And I never really hear Paul Pierce talking good about LeBron, so I think that just kind of just shows how much of a hater he is, man. Like, I never heard one time where he like, you know, LeBron, man, he was, you know, the greatest player, you know, of our decade. He's done so much for the game. He always just like kind of my top 10 players and name off all these players and don't mention LeBron. So stop hating on LeBron, Paul Pierce.
As LeBron did to build up any organization.
Besides how his arguments don't have any logic to them
You hear what he said?
Any organization or continue the tradition. What has LeBron did to build up any organization?
Besides how his arguments don't have any logic to them whatsoever, it's just a strange thing for Pierce to say, seeing how similar him and LeBron are. So what gives? They both play the same position. They both suited up for LA teams. They both, well, okay, I guess maybe Paul Pierce wasn't dubbed the chosen one coming out of high school and compared to Michael Jordan before stepping on an NBA court. But he was drafted to a struggling team and immediately became the go-to guy for his squad. Offensively, he was a problem for defenders. In just his 4th season in 2002, he led the Celtics to the playoffs for the first time in almost a decade, falling just short of the NBA Finals. He got so many buckets, he even earned his own dope-ass nickname, given by Shaq, who, by the way, was incredible at dishing out monikers. So when you have a rookie coming into the league in 2003, who plays the same position and is already praised as a star before clocking a single minute of game time, I would feel some type of way about that as well. But Pierce let his game do the talking. In their second time sharing the court, he lit up LeBron and the Cavs, even tripping the youngster in the closing seconds to seal the game for his C's.
See, that's the thing I don't want to do here. I don't want to sit here and just you know act like Paul Pierce wasn't the truth. Like, no pun intended. Like, he was a dog. Like, he did his thing, but it's levels to this shit, man.
He also did do some talking during the game, just not directly at LeBron. After a tough foul on James, Pierce got into a bit of a screaming match from the courtside seats with Otis Carter, the father of one of James's close friends and someone who Bron considers an uncle. After drilling each shot, Pierce would make sure to look Carter's way and let LeBron know he might need to shut him up. However, that went against what Pierce had to say off the court. He was quick to praise the rookie's talents, which he wasn't alone in doing. LeBron had a great season and was voted Rookie of the Year, and that—
My bad. I want to just go back on what I just said a few minutes ago about me never hearing Paul Pierce talk highly of LeBron. He just said right there that he's a spectacular rookie and he haven't seen anything like that. So, my bad, Paul Pierce. I just want to throw that out there.
That award only intensified the hype surrounding him. But even with all that hype, the family feud between Pierce and LeBron's uncle served as marinade for the beef that hit the grill the following season. Things got a bit testy during a 2004 Celtics preseason game against the Cavs.
Toxic.
Pierce went at LeBron scoring back-to-back baskets and made sure to let it be known he sauced up the reigning Rookie of the Year. The two went at it again, which provoked Pierce to just casually spit towards the Cavs bench. Cause that's just a normal thing people do, I guess. Well, actually, judging by their reaction,
there's nothing normal about spitting towards anybody. Let's throw that out there. They fined him $15,000, but yeah, don't just try to blow past that and say he casually just spit past somebody. Like,
actually, not normal to LeBron and the Cavs. And after the game, they decided it was time to throw hands. The fight was only prevented because Pierce's teammates quite literally carried him away as if he wasn't the dude just spitting at people. It was a preseason game. There were no stakes at all, but that's where things took a pause. The Cavs and Celtics weren't really contenders at the same time, so there was nothing really to get excited for when they played. Plus, the two kind of squashed the beef, growing closer to each other over the 2005 and 2006 All-Star games. LeBron had early success, but he carried the whole team along the way. Sure, it's easy to call his roster trash, but those dudes made the NBA for a reason, and I'm sure they could bust my ass any day. Pierce's roster—
and it was the number one team in the East. They made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, so I don't really like when they be trying to like if they would have won, they'd have been like, LeBron is he's just so great. He make his team so good. His team made his teammates so much better. They went first in the East, and now they did this and did that. But now when they lose, like he didn't have no help. So I don't like that, man. I get it. His on paper, his team didn't look that good, but they made it work, and they just came up short. Like LeBron came up short. Everybody else on the team came up short. Like, don't exclude LeBron just because they lost in the finals.
Roster wasn't much better, but that all drastically changed going into the 2007-08 season when Boston formed their Big Three. Now with Pierce having some real deal help by his side, and LeBron, well, still being LeBron, Pierce and James met up for the first time in the postseason. The series more than lived up to the hype, with both James and Pierce being the leaders for their teams in pivotal moments. If there's one thing LeBron didn't learn from playing against Pierce, you gotta remove family members from sitting courtside. During Game 4, Pierce wrapped up LeBron on a drive to the rim that spilled into the stands. In the stands was Gloria James, LeBron's mother, who hopped out of her seat and began yelling at Pierce. It's just classic mama instincts kicking in to protect their little king when LeBron politely told her to have a seat. Pierce had some fun with it the next day in media availability, saying while his mom is older, she could probably put up a good fight against LeBron's mom. LeBron was obviously more embarrassed with himself, especially a day removed from Mother's Day. Luckily, no mothers were harmed, but in the end of a difficult 7-game series, the Celtics closed out a classic Game 7 on the back of Pierce. LeBron and Pierce went shot for shot, but LeBron's lack of help was even more notable in the series. Clearly frustrated, LeBron stepped to the podium after the game and demanded the front office make some moves.
How old was LeBron right here, y'all? I can't really remember. So this was right before he left to go to Miami. Let me know what his age was right here.
I imagine it also couldn't be the greatest feeling for LeBron, watching Pierce and the C's flex the championship trophy he was still pursuing. On the bright side, GM Danny Ferry and the Cavs brass took note of their superstar's anger and acquired Mo Williams.
Mo?
Wait, yeah, that's not that big of a deal. Sorry, Mo. Then after striking out on landing All-Star forward Amari Stoudemire before the 2009-2010 trade deadline, the Cavs settled for veteran Antoine Jamison. But they do also have an over-the-hill Shaq.
And
with
then
LeBron
old
playing
Shaq.
MVP basketball.
So LeBron said he needed help, and they went and got Mo Williams, somebody that's a very good player, man. He's a very good YMCA player. Like, if you was gonna play with him at the YMCA, he would average 40, 50 points. But in the NBA, that's somebody not who you gonna need to compete for championships. An old, out of shape Shaq. Shaq was probably about 60, 70 pounds overweight at that time. Like, Shaq was done. He was done. Like, after the Miami run, he was done. They tried to get him. Who was the other person? Antoine Jamison, like the most unorthodox player in NBA history. Like, these are not the players that you need to keep your superstar around.
The Cavs cruised to the playoffs, where they once again met up with Pierce and the C's in the Eastern Conference semis. However, despite being the favorite, LeBron fell short again. Celtics coach Doc Rivers drew up a game plan that focused on Pierce defending LeBron. It worked. Pierce's offensive output over the last 3 games of the series went down, but they won all 3 games, in part because he helped slow down LeBron. Watching the clearly dejected LeBron walk off the court after the series wrapped, with his forthcoming free agency looming, perfectly captured the magnitude of the moment. LeBron and the Cavs simply collapsed, and it was once again at the hands of Pierce and the Celtics. Something had to change, and a decision had to be made. A decision in which LeBron took his talents down to South Beach. His words, not mine. And how could you really blame him? The Cavaliers front office couldn't get the job done. The man needed some help, and now he had it forming his own big 3.
So is people just mad at LeBron? I know this is kind of had nothing to do with the beef, but do y'all think people was just mad at LeBron because he actually went down there, actually went to Miami and joined D-Wade and Chris Bosh? Or was people mad on the way he did it? You know, going on live TV and having this whole interview with was it Gray, Jim Gray or whatever his name was, like just making it like this super big deal, just to break the hearts of your hometown. Like, I think that's why a lot of people hated the decision, not necessarily him actually going there. But let me know what y'all think about the whole thing. Like, cause I also heard that he the money that he generated from that interview, he gave to the Boys and Girls Club, and he made a good deed out of it. So you really can't be too mad at him. But let me know what y'all think about LeBron's first decision.
But even in the regular season with a new-look squad, Bron still struggled to get past Pierce and the C's, which included a loss at home where Pierce quickly took his chance to shade LeBron. That's just the regular season though. Luckily for Bron, the 2 met again in the playoffs. This time around, LeBron finally got his victory over Pierce and the Celtics. After closing out the series in Game 5, an emotional LeBron fell to his knees in appreciation of the moment. He had made it to the Eastern Conference Finals before. Shit, he carried the Cavs all the way to the NBA Finals. But this was different. He had finally beaten Pierce and the C's, a team that in many ways defined his legacy up to that point.
Okay.
Then just like that, Pierce got his chance at revenge the following year. The now old man Celtics clawed their way all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals for a rematch with the Heat. Game 1 marked the 19th time James and Pierce met in the playoffs, so of course reporters had the obvious question of, what's your relationship like? Which the two answered generically, LeBron talking about how they know each other's likes and dislikes while throwing Pierce a compliment. Pierce talked about how they built up a mutual respect for each other throughout the years, while also oddly finding a way to compliment himself as the best at his position, even though they play the same position. Anyways, there's some truth there in those vague quotes because the two once again brought the best out of each other. In a hard-fought 7-game series, their respective teams relied on them in huge moments. In Game 5 with the series tied, it was Pierce who hit a late-game dagger 3 over LeBron. The next game in Boston, it was LeBron who put on a show to keep his team alive and gave us this now famous look. Riding that high, the Heat took care of business easily in Game 7 back at home. That LeBron would have to get past Pierce one more time to get his first title seemed only right. However, from there on, their battles on the court were nothing really spectacular. Pierce was on the decline, bouncing from team to team, and LeBron was still playing some of the best basketball of his career. While chasing his second ring in the 2012-13 season, LeBron admitted that while it's tough to choose just one person as his biggest rival in the NBA, it would have to be Pierce. He ended up winning that second ring, surpassing Pierce, which I'm sure stung for Pierce, but even more so because he did it with his old Big Three running mate. Braun made sure to
I forgot about the Ray Allen thing. Hold on, let me see what they're about to say right here.
stick by his guy, all while sneak dissing Pierce in the same breath.
There were a couple of guys who basically shitted on Ray for leaving Boston, and now they're leaving. Yeah, no, that was a big thing. Like, I almost think to this day that KG and Rondo and Paul Pierce don't really rock with Ray Allen, but let me know how y'all would feel if y'all were them. Like, was it really that big of a deal? I mean, y'all won a championship together, so like, how much more do y'all want? But I guess it's just like, bro, like, you don't go to the rival team that we was competing against. Like, kind of the KD, OKC, the Warrior situation a little bit, but to like a more like smaller scale. But it was like, yeah, like it was Boston against Miami. Those were the two teams that was battling, and we beat them. And then you go join them and then go win with them. Like I can see Rondo, KG, and Paul Pierce feeling a little way, but I don't know, man. These are NBA grown ass men. Y'all can do what the hell y'all want to do. You can't be holding people accountable for
hypocrite, which Pierce
doing what's best
immediately
for
shot
them.
back at, reminding LeBron he was dealt to the Brooklyn Nets. It was there in Brooklyn too where Pierce seemed to forget what sport he was playing. In a meaningless preseason game against the Heat, Pierce turned into a linebacker and lowered his shoulder into LeBron's chest as he drove to the basket. Pierce said it was his way of putting the league on notice. Sure, whatever you say, the truth. Pierce also demanded to guard LeBron in the Eastern Conference semifinals that same year and gave his young team some inspirational words not to fear LeBron in the Heat, which LeBron essentially said was some rah-rah bullshit and it's just basketball. Then he proceeded to go out on the floor and embarrass Pierce. Before that series tipped off, Pierce said the feud between the two was nothing personal, which is a very odd thing to say when you also don't allow teammates to wear LeBron's shoe around you.
What?
But if LeBron ever did take their competition personal, he never really showed it. He made sure to praise Paul Pierce's game as he retired and acknowledged Pierce pushed him earlier in his career.
For 19 years, put his mark on his game. Somebody I've had a lot of battles with, somebody I've always respected, competed against, pushed me in the Eastern Conference. For quite a while.
While Pierce was more reserved during his playing days in regards to how he felt about LeBron, in retirement as an analyst, he said fuck it and let loose. Like in a 2017 interview when he announced he doesn't acknowledge monarchs and how the concept of time just seems to be made up.
I don't call no man king. So I always said if we were the same age, it might probably be different.
How would it be different?
He might have not got those championships in Miami if I was 26 and he was 26.
That was less than a full calendar year after
Too many
he had
ifs,
retired.
man.
It's like he was itching for someone to ask him about LeBron. James would eventually get a laugh in at Pierce's expense when Pierce's jersey retirement hilariously fell on the night the Celtics faced the Cavs. Which, by the way, was the same night the Celtics were supposed to show a tribute video for their former player Isaiah Thomas, but Petty Pierce shut that down because he wanted it to be his moment. The Cavs thrashed the Celtics the whole game, leaving Pierce to awkwardly watch as his old team got destroyed, which meant LeBron could just clown with his teammates on the bench because the game was already out of hand.
I remember this.
Those same Celtics, though, would meet LeBron and the Cavs in the 2018 postseason, which, of course, gave Pierce an opening to talk about himself again. He compared his relationship with LeBron to past NBA rivals Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas, which come on, bro, you're no Isaiah Thomas. As well as saying just how tough it is to let go of those matchups with LeBron. Finding a way to salute him, then immediately one-upping him. But oh yeah, remember, it's nothing personal. Which is, once again, a very weird thing to keep saying when you then turn around and say personal shit. On an ESPN segment, ironically named Truth Serum, Pierce actually spit some facts agreeing with LeBron on why he's his biggest rival. Then he promptly gloated that it was him alone that affected LeBron's decision in free agency.
It's me, of course. No one has had more playoff battles and more meaningful games than me and LeBron. Why do you think he moved to Miami Beats? Come on now, I sent the U-Haul down there.
And
I sent the U-Haul
remember
down
that
there.
whole casually spitting towards the Cavs bench thing? Pierce confirmed himself that it went down, and his only takeaway from the moment was being thankful that social media wasn't around at the time to amplify the incident. I'm sure you're watching this and thinking to yourself, wow, has LeBron not fired back at all? He hasn't, at least not publicly. The man keeps his head down and just hoops. And that's kinda what this whole beef has turned into. What was once genuine hate that almost came to blows sparked by Pierce turned into a pure competitive battle on the court. But as LeBron took the leap and their matchups became more one-sided on the court, Pierce kept running his mouth, making things one-sided off of it. Maybe it really is just hard to see someone you competed with at the top of your game surpass you. Or maybe Pierce just wants his due respect for being the dude that stopped LeBron from reaching the top early in his career. Whatever it is, as long as Paul Pierce is an analyst and LeBron James keeps balling, this is a beef that's gonna keep on cooking.
Okay. Good video. Shout out to Secret Base for another toxic video. But I feel like what LeBron tries to do in this situation is to always, keep Paul Pierce down here. Like, Paul Pierce had a lot to say throughout all these, 10, 15 plus years, but Bron never really said nothing. Because I feel like in LeBron's head, he's like, Paul Pierce is down here. Like, he's not on the same level as me, so I can't really, I'm not going to indulge in all the extra back and forth stuff with Paul Pierce. Like, all I'm going to do is give him his respect. Like, he's a great player, He made it tough for me early on in my career. Like, that's the stance that LeBron was making. I feel like that make Paul Pierce even more mad, because it's like, why is this dude being so nice to me? Like, why is he not trying to, talk about how much of a rivalry we had and this and that? But I just think that was hilarious, man. But I appreciate y'all for watching this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if y'all haven't already. Make sure y'all like this video if y'all like this video. And go ahead and write something in the comments. Let me know what side of the base, no pun intended, are y'all on? Are y'all more of a Paul Pierce fan or more of a LeBron fan? Because some people gonna like Paul Pierce. Some people gonna like that whole, like, don't back down to the super guy and, be the underdog guy. Like, a lot of people gonna like that, and then other people was gonna be like, hey, LeBron's that guy. Paul Pierce can't tie LeBron's shoes, and, kind of leave it at that. But I appreciate y'all like always. We out.